that close. They were that close. The Knicks did it to them again. The Hornets, they lose, but we're going to possibly live in our own fantasy land and play a version where the Hornets win. We'll get to all of that today on the Locked On Hornets podcast.
We're Locked On Hornets, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
In a minute, cuz we live.
Doug, it was so close. An OT loss, another one. They don't do it. All right, you're leaving. Thank you for helping out with all the behind-the-scenes stuff. Thank you, and you're good. I can just do the rest of the show solo. Put me live. That's Doug Branson. You can check him out. You're not Doug? Who are you right now? You're not Doug.
No.
Find Doug on everyhornetsboxscore.com, putting out some content. It might be a melancholy
Knicks. Not the Knicks. Not the Knicks. Not that way. Not like this. I felt like that character in The Matrix. Not like this. It can't end like this with an angle. His foot was not on the line. The refs were garbage the entire game. This was unbelievable.
Thanks for making us your first listen. We're free and available anywhere you get your podcast. That includes YouTube, where if you go to YouTube, you can catch us live. You can catch us happy if they win, and you can catch us just a little somber if they lose. And you know what? Doug, you said something before we started recording that I want to get to. You're happy that this team actually makes you feel sad, because that means there is some hope. That means that they provided a way to win at the end of the game, and it continues to start. Not too many people thought this team would have at full health. I mean, that's disregarding the fact that they didn't have their best player, LaMelo, again. They don't have Terry Rozier again, and they don't have Cody Martin. And yet they go to overtime in Madison Square Garden against the New York Knicks. And you're sad because they lost. And it's okay to be sad. Yes, we can also sing the praises of everybody that showed up.
Wrong.
I can't wait to talk all about the good stuff surrounding Dennis Smith Jr. But
you're wrong.
You're not feeling very good. I don't.
You're wrong. I'm not sad. I am not sad. Okay. I am mad that they lost, and I'm happy. Yes, you're right about this. I am happy that they made me mad. And really, it wasn't the team that made me mad, because we'll get to it later. There were so many great performances in this game. I'm mad that I think the referees ruined what would have been the first overtime victory for the Charlotte Hornets in 8 games and 8 attempts. They lost all 7 overtimes, and they can't possibly lose 8 overtimes in a row. I thought Steve Clifford was going to be a new regime, a new leaf. They were going to get this win, get over the top of the New York Knicks, and instead the referees, they play. Let's talk about Anglegate, because the in-arena team puts up an angle that everybody, even in the arena, the Knicks fans were going, get that off the screen, because it clearly showed PJ's foot with a little space that you couldn't see in any of the other angles. It was just, come on. And then Clifford's pointing it out to the referees, and they won't even go look at it again.
He was pleading. He was just saying, hey, just look at it. Nope, refs wouldn't do it. Now, look, I think you can do this, right? I'm going to put you to work here. I know you're angry. I want you to use this anger as fuel to carry out some chore here on the show. So if you can, go to the Crown Club Twitter handle, because I think they put out a picture, and it was the closest to PJ actually shooting behind the line, if I'm not mistaken. So if you can do that, that's the one, right? Like, there was apparently what was going on. I'm sure people were watching the game, and we appreciate you joining us live here, but apparently Madison Square Garden, they showed an angle where the fans were a little scared. So It's funny. The Hornets fans felt like this was going to be a 1-point game at the end of the shot. The Knicks fans in the arena felt like it was going to be a tie ball game, and they were going to have to stay up just a little bit later and go to double OT. And this is the picture. Can you zoom in? Yeah.
Enhance.
Yeah, zoom in.
Enhance. Look at that. See, look right there, right? I don't know if you can see my cursor, but right there, that's court. It's tough. This is a low res image, so it may look like the line. Yes, that's what I'm saying. Light brown right there in between the dark purple of his shoe and the royal New York blue right there. That's where the space was. I mean, unbelievable.
Yes, David
They
Walker.
Apparently, the National Basketball Association does not have access to my technology of hitting Command Plus several times to take a look and see if the foot was on the line or not. That's a PJ Washington 3. I don't care what the record books say.
I don't care. I mean, look, that's clear, okay? I mean, that is as clear as you can possibly get. That's a three-pointer. And as far as I'm concerned, the Charlotte Hornets not only tied the ball game up on that shot, but they won.
David Walker, that's a win in my record book.
Yep, there you go. He commented, our buddy David Walker, who I've said 3 times, but we keep interrupting. It's yes, give us the angles. David Walker, according to Rod Boone, Cliff said he looked at the replay after the game and confirms it's 2, but he's also not buying it. No, and I agree. That's the kind of energy we want on the live broadcast.
Cliff's being diplomatic, so he does, because he was really hard on the refs. He's probably trying to avoid an NBA fine. Cliff, we got you. Wink, 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 wink. We understand what you're saying. We understand what you're saying, Cliff.
Surrounding Steve Clifford at the end of games all season long, real quick, because my question is, we were so surprised. I think that's a fair word to use. We were surprised to see just how angry Steve Clifford was after the game against the Pelicans. Like, I want to play a game in these postcasts on if we're going to get angry or happy, Cliff. I feel like you don't get happy, Cliff, a ton. So angry is going to be the default answer. But do you think we got real mad, angry Cliff in the presser tonight? Or do you think like he wasn't all the way boiling like he sometimes is?
No, I mean, there were certainly some things that he's going to pick apart in the film room in this game, especially in that first half, right? There were opportunities for them to keep the New York Knicks out of the paint, and they didn't take advantage of those opportunities. Now, credit to the New York Knicks. They made just an absolute ton of tough shots in this game. So did the Hornets. They went punch for punch with them through a lot of this game. But at the same time, there were other opportunities that the Hornets could have fought off the margin a little bit better in the first half had they kept them out of the paint. So there's things to pick apart. But I think, Clifford's going to have a view of the entirety of this game and go, the bench played great. I got some real tough plays there in fourth quarter and overtime. Yeah, there were mistakes. Kelly getting the technical. Like what? I was ready to be like Kelly Oubre, Tsunami father, maturing. He's driving. He's getting fouled instead of taking the pull-up jumper. He's getting rebounds, getting so many tough rebounds. And then in OT, there was a missed call. Again, I thought the refereeing was not very good in this game.
No, it wasn't.
Yeah, it wasn't just about that foot on the line. There were a lot of missed calls. One of them was on the out of bounds that should have not been off Kelly, and Kelly gets the technical on the other end. You just, like this happened with Miles Bridges last season. You just have to understand time and situation. You cannot give up a precious point in overtime. So there's going to be things to pick apart, but he's not going to be mad. I think he's going to be understanding.
All right, let's go to break because there's still a lot of stuff I want to leak in from the first segment to the second segment.
There's like 27. Listen, this postcast might be 2 hours. I'm sorry.
Okay.
I'm sorry. It just might be. We might have to go over. I know what the rules are on the Locked On Podcast Network. I understand what the format is, but we just had a game where it felt like nobody could miss, and then everybody could miss, and then there was a foot on the line, but it really wasn't on the line. There's just so much to get to.
Yeah, I have to do the WFNZ show tomorrow, and so do you, Doug. You're going to be joining me tomorrow, so we have to get our sleep. We've got one segment.
You better think about that. You better think about letting me on the radio. You better hope I get a good night's sleep and come to my senses. I'm about to while out on the W, and WFNZ is going to stand for Doug's Wiling Out.
Wild fans, baby. Doug is about to be one. That's the WF a part of that, and then I'll think of the NZ later. All right, coming up next on the Locked On Hornets podcast.
Don't go to sleep on the Hornets just yet.
We're going to finish our reaction on this game against the Knicks. Kelly Oubre not being the Tsunami father that we all wanted, and Dennis Smith Jr. being the backup point guard that we all wanted. We'll get to that in just a moment. Now, before we talk about BetOnline, betonline.net is your number one source for all of your football betting and sports betting needs. Also, the start of the new basketball season. You can find all the latest player developments, team matchups, news, podcasts, and in-depth analysis on every single game. And as always, BetOnline remains your continued source for all your sport wagering information with live betting and up-to-the-minute scores for every sport out there. It's the fastest and the easiest way to check in on all your favorite games and events, including MLB, MMA, boxing, and even golf. You can head to the website today or use your mobile device to learn more. BetOnline, where the game starts. More on the Knicks loss or the win. We might just play Fantasyland in the third segment. Coming up next, Locked On Hornets.
Is Locked On Hornets.
Then I clicked on M. Thomas. I'm like, who in the hell is M. Thomas? Matt Thomas is his name.
Oh, NBA legend, Matty Thomas. Matt
he
Thomas, I'm pretty sure Matt Thomas served me at an Applebee's the other day.
It's time for more of the Locked On Hornets podcast.
Doug, you're not the only one with new technology. I myself have new technology. It's state-of-the-art stuff that the NBA could also use to deem PJ Washington's shot a three. And I myself am able to read some of the chats that people are writing into the live show. All right, here's Z-Bird every day writes in, at the end of regulation, if it's a tie game, you got to get a shot going to the rim. Well, Jalen McDaniels tried that. What I loved is seeing multiple people on my timeline say, putting Jalen McDaniels in this game seems smart. By the way, I agree. I think it was smart to put Jalen McDaniels in this game, but then he got ISO big ol' eyeballs when he saw Mitchell Robinson in front of him, decided to take him to the rim, and then got swatted out of bounds. Eric Collins said, yep, Hornets might be lucky that Mitchell Robinson blocked that and it went out of bounds.
Well, Z-Bird was talking about end of regulation. That right. McDaniels play was at the end of OT. But the thing about the McDaniels sub, yes, that was an ill-advised drive on one of the best shot blockers in the association, but it was really the timeout that he used. It was the final timeout to get the Jalen sub in there, and they could have definitely used that timeout as they were trying to get an additional play through the foul game. So I think there's, it's tough to second-guess those kind of things in the moment. He's trying to get more shooters on so that they can, they can save the game there. So I understand it, but at the end of the day, it did hurt them. Now, at the end of regulation, he's talking about, they get PJ a great look at three. I honestly think, Z-Bird, that PJ should have taken that three. Like, I thought he had the step on Barrett. I think he might have seen in his periphery, I don't know who it was, quickly maybe coming over to help, just taking that little jab step towards him. I wonder if he got a little scared because he had the step on Barrett, but he doesn't take the three. Instead, he gives it up to Hayward, who gets a shot at the rim, but it just doesn't get anywhere near the rim, unfortunately. But they did get the ball inbounded at least, Walker. That's progress.
I like you put that tweet out there, and that was, I believe, after Gordon Hayward's air ball, and yet we were still celebrating the fact that it went in because that
baby
is so
steps, baby steps.
Next time we're gonna hit rim. Z-Bird also put up here earlier on the chat. He said that this team is playing a lot better at basketball than Doug playing 2K. I have not seen your streams, Doug. Have they not been going well? Have the previews not been a success for you?
Well, it looked like I was that the stream was going to be prescient because in my 2K stream, I couldn't hit free throws for anything. Mm-hmm. That was what the Hornets were doing early in this game. They couldn't hit free throws. I think in that first half, they were close to 60-something%. And then, RJ Barrett tore me up, and certainly he played well in this one. They dealt with Randall quite well. That happened in my stream too. So a lot of things were lining up. But yeah, the Knicks absolutely decimated me. But enough about the fake NBA.
Well,
yeah, go ahead.
No, well, the one I was going to ask too, and just one more comment to kind of lead us into a topic I still wanted to continue to discuss. Matt Strand wrote in, please talk about the weak sauce tech given to Oubre. Seems Knicks can cry to refs all night and nothing done about it. Kelly says a few words and is teed up. Look, I have no clue what Kelly said to the official. That's what you always have to consider in these situations, right? I don't know. Maybe you could have the ref be soft. Maybe you don't think it was warranted. I just have zero clue. What I did see, and I was watching it, right? Because sometimes my Twitter timeline will come in a little faster than my streaming service. And so I saw what was about to take place. I hate it. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. So I was watching Kelly, and Kelly was jawing to the ref as it was happening. He kept talking to him. So I don't know what he said, Doug, but it was unfortunate nonetheless, and it's something you just can't do. Continue it, right? Like it's something you got to let go.
Right. That's the point, right? It's time and situation. If this tech gets picked up in the second quarter, then I'm all with Matt and everybody else saying it was a weak tech. I get it, but in that situation in overtime, when points are hard to come by, like that overtime, things got real mucked up, and it was real tough to score. You just can't give up precious points, and so you just got to say nothing. And that's just the bottom line. So you just can't give the ref any opportunity to tee you up in that situation. He obviously said something, and you got to say nothing in those situations.
I want to talk a little more about Kelly too. I felt like this was a big time polarizing game for him. I don't know. And sometimes I like to look at the dichotomy that is my timeline. And I know that's kind of Kelly in a nutshell.
What did I say? What did I say on WFNZ last time I was on? You take the good, you take the bad, and there you have Tsunami Pape. Like it's always going like that's always how it's going to be. It's going to be a little bit of good and a little bit of bad.
Yeah, and I just felt like some people on my Twitter timeline were really happy with what Kelly was doing because and this is the reason why. Like you can see he's trying to change the way that he played last year. There is something different there. He is attacking a lot more. You're seeing the mid-range game that he worked on clearly this offseason, or at least that he made an emphasis to make sure he was taking more mid-range jumpers that he was hitting. But when you get to overtime, you have the tech. You have some bad decisions being made at the end of the game by him. You also have the air ball 3. I think Steve Clifford wanted him to take it coming off of that screen, if I'm not mistaken. But Kelly, it was way off, right? Air ball. But again, he's changing the way he plays kind of. I also thought there was a good defensive play where at the end of this game, they were able to get out in transition because he had an excellent block on a putback attempt where he was just able to get out of the floor pretty fast. So yeah, man, you're way like you got all of the up and down stuff from Kelly in this game. And unfortunately, the bad stuff happened in crunch time.
A lot of people on the chat asking about Big Nick energy. Nick Richards gets 19 minutes in this game, only 2 field goal attempts, though. He did have 7 points, 2 assists, but only 4 rebounds, 2 of those offensive. We've come to know that from Nick. Yeah. But he was a plus 12 on the game, but only gets the 19 minutes. What did you make of Big Nick's game? There's a little slowdown from his previous outings.
Yeah, and shot 4 free throws and hit 3 of the 4 free throws. I thought when Nick was in, he looked good. It was a slowdown, but I didn't think that Nick Richards was bad in this by any means, right? Like I thought Nick Richards actually provided some rim pressure one time. I thought there was one shot, I think it was RJ Barrett, as we're just kind of speaking about this after the game. I think maybe RJ Barrett tried to shoot and was bothered by a Nick Richards rotation coming off his guy to contest at the rim. Yeah, there were some people calling for Nick Richards to play at the end of this game, and I would have done that. Mason Plumlee wasn't doing anything spectacular, and Mason Plumlee at the end of this game was getting the minutes. 31 total for Mason, only 19.
Yeah, because he played so much at the end of the fourth quarter and then played almost the entire overtime set. So yeah, I mean that's where the minutes distribution got way off from what we've typically seen this season, which Nick Richards getting more minutes than Mason. But let me tell you something, I'm in love with players that do it in the box score. So I'll give Nick Richards a break in this one because he has been doing it so much in the box score, but he actually did something that doesn't show up on the box score.
There you go.
Well, it shows up in some like stats, deep stats, but he was setting some absolute monster screens in this game. He was
yes.
Like he was absolutely taking Jalen Brunson and putting him into the second row. Like it was crazy. And I was like counting them and he's a plus 12. And I think part of the reason he's a plus 12 is because when he was in the game, he was taking players out with his screens and setting up buckets for other players, including DSJ, including Jalen McDaniels, who got one of those Maladon actually. Maladon got a 3-pointer late in the first quarter that pulled it to 32-30 off of one of those Nick Richards screens. So again, just showing up value. Now to why Clifford played Plumlee, okay? I'm not going to justify it. I'm just going to try to crawl into Clifford's brain. And I think there's a couple of things going on. One, the Knicks are huge. And yes, Nick is lengthier, but he's not beefier than Mason. So maybe he wanted Mason in there to, just try to get some better positioning on the defensive rebounds. I don't know. But Nick Richards has been better lengthy, with his length on the boards. So the only other thing that I can come up with is just that starting unit that he went with at the end of the game. There's a rhythm kind of thing, right? They've played together the most. They know where each other's going to be. And if you insert Nick in with that starting unit, that's probably not a unit that's gotten a lot of run this year. So that's the only thing that I could think of if I'm just trying to crawl into Clifford's brain.
Do you want to finish up with some backcourt conversation on the other side? Do you want to talk about that
honestly,
now?
I think we just hit the chat and we go player by player because, like I said, seriously, let me just hit this box score real quick and just throw some point totals at you. Gordon Hayward, 21. PJ Washington, 17. Kelly Oubre, 17. Jalen McDaniels, 17. Teo Maladon. Don't call him Theo. Don't you dare call him Theo.
I already did.
Don't you dare call him Theo. His name is Teo. Teo, gotta let go. 15 points. 13 points for Book Night. Dennis Smith Jr. gets 14. So tons of storylines. We just gotta hang on here with these live chat. Everybody's up in the chat right now. We just gotta hang until we get all these storylines out.
Okay, do we hang in the second segment or the third segment? Which segment do we hang in?
Yeah, I need to catch my breath and get some of these chats in here, and then we'll come back.
All right. That didn't answer
Teo,
my question.
Gotta let go.
I keep thinking you're gonna go, Teo, come and me wanna go home.
I wanna celebrate and live my life, saying Teo, baby, let's go.
Coming up next on the Locked On Hornets podcast.
Don't go to sleep on the Hornets just yet.
Don't wake my baby up.
we're gonna sing a lot more about Teo Maladon, and I want to talk about Dennis Smith Jr. Holy cow, dude is awesome. That's next. Third segment, Locked On Hornets.
Is Locked On Hornets.
They're running their rookies to Greensboro. They're driving them to Greensboro and then driving them back the same day to play in an NBA game. I cannot wait until the Hornets load manage.
It's time for more of the Locked On Hornets podcast.
I'm not a big holy cow guy. I don't know why that came to my mind there, but I went with it. That's what Dennis Smith Jr. made me do. DSJ,
caramba.
baby. Yeah, I don't know. I think it was like holy cannoli for Klay Thompson.
Holy cannoli.
I went holy cow. Doug, we got to talk about Dennis Smith Jr. more than anybody, and Teo Maladon deserves all of the love as well.
Okay, you can say that, but I'm just going to say that there is one player. I'm going to tease this. There's one player I would like to talk about in this game a little bit more than Dennis Smith Jr. In fact, if the Hornets would have won this game, I would have given this player the game ball over Dennis Smith Jr., but let's talk about DSJ.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, there's a few, right? I've got three I feel like that could be potential. Maybe four if you wanted to talk about
That's a lot. I tell you, everybody played well.
Dennis Smith Jr., man, I thought – so let's start with the defense first. That guy maneuvering screens, staying in front of his man – to me, I put this out there. This is the type of box score where you might see Jalen Brunson eat really well. 10 of 15 from the field, 27 points, 40% from three on 5 attempts that he had, hit all of his free throws, right? 13 assists, 7 rebounds. Jalen Brunson was awesome in this game, okay? Those were tough shots that he hit. When you mentioned that the Knicks hit a lot of tough shots, and that's kind of Jalen Brunson's game. He's a physical card, and I get that. But I thought Dennis did about everything he could anytime he was manned up on Brunson, even the jump ball that was called a foul. I thought that was a good defensive play from Dennis Smith Jr. There was the fade from Jalen Brunson where he's hitting that, or maybe the runner over DSJ. I thought defensively, Dennis Smith Jr. continues to give a bleep, and he's been very awesome on that end of the floor. Now, offensively, Doug, perhaps that's a little bit more surprising to me, but he is running the offense very comfortably so. Like, this is someone that is up there in minutes played the last few games. He continues to get deflections. He had a couple of steals in this one. He had 11 assists, and he shows up in crunch time moments. So Dennis Smith Jr. was just hitting mid-range jumpers, just some tough shots, deciding, all right, well, I got Mitchell Robinson on me, bang, bang between the legs, mid-range jumper. Then we saw the nice dish to Nick Richards when he drove down the lane. I believe that was Nick Richards who was the beneficiary of that assist. And then Dennis hit the bucket to send it into overtime. I mean, watching him play, man, that non-guaranteed contract, it needs to be guaranteed. We need to be thinking about this guy for the future. Give him a lifetime contract, man. Like, I love watching what Dennis Smith Jr. has done for this team.
I have to remember what sort of the idea about who Dennis Smith Jr. was as an offensive player before he comes to Charlotte. He was a player that had a reputation for being able to easily get to the rim, but didn't know what to do once he got there, couldn't finish. A player that had a reputation of not being able to shoot. And I'm talking everywhere, mid-range, three-point shots, just like the jump shot wasn't working for Dennis Smith Jr. in New York and Dallas. Started to get a little bit better when he made that short stop in Portland, started to recover a little bit, but, obviously the injury bug got him there too. Now all of that's completely turned around, and I don't, change of scenery, maybe felt like this was his last opportunity to make something work. Something just clicked. Maybe it's something within Clifford's scheme offensively and being appreciated as a defensive player, being relied upon. I mean, we have to just say, maybe part of this is LaMelo's injury and him getting this particular opportunity, and then Terry's injury on top of that. Hopefully he can carry this over when his role changes. That's the concern, right? Like, he's feeling it right now because he's getting so much of the offense. What happens when you start to peel that away? We'll leave that concern for later. But right now, great facilitator, great scorer. He's hitting tough twos. He hit that one over Evan Fournier. Yep. Oh my God. Yep. Dribble, pull up. Like, it was just beautiful to watch. I don't, other than LaMelo and Kemba, we just haven't seen that, at the point guard position very much in Hornets history. So,
well, you bring up the sustainability once LaMelo and Terry comes back. Here's what gets me more excited. I think it can, and it's because I think LaMelo. I've always talked about how I think LaMelo can play with a bunch of dudes, man. Like, I think he's someone with the catch and shoot ability. The fact that he can shoot the three-pointer as well as he can, not only is it great just because it's nice to shoot in today's day and age, but it makes you adaptable to whatever player you put alongside him in the backcourt. In fact, I think LaMelo is enhanced by another ball handler being in the backcourt. Dennis Smith Jr. to me, like Dennis Smith Jr. and LaMelo minutes, DSJ and Terry minutes, LaMelo and Terry.
Kemba and Jeremy Lin minutes. That's what it reminds me of.
Yeah. I think it can work. I like that pairing, especially defensively, having him alongside LaMelo. I can't believe it. You tweeted it out. Goodness great. Do we have too many point guards? Do the Hornets have too many, Doug? That's the question.
Well, they have just enough because they're getting all these injuries, and that's probably what's important to remember too. One of the next players I want to talk about before I get to the player that I would actually give the game ball to is Theo Maledon, who, remember, Theo Maledon comes into this game, having not played at all in the preseason with the Charlotte Hornets because they picked him up off of waivers right after the preseason. So this guy is just now kind of starting to get acclimated to what it is Steve Clifford wants to do. And so what he's been able to do offensively, he scores 15 in this, but also defensively, he's been an absolute pest. He's been a good facilitator as well. Just all these guys coming in and giving you multiple sets of skills and executing at a high level. It's been really incredible to watch, and honestly, that makes me feel really good because LaMelo will come back, and then DSJ slips into that new role, right? And Terry Rozier comes back, but then there are some injury concerns around DSJ, and if those happen to crop back up, hopefully they don't, because then you're maybe talking about most improved player if he becomes de facto sixth man for the Charlotte Hornets. But then if he does get injured, hey, I'm actually confident that Theo Maledon could come in and give you legitimate quality minutes because he was absolutely great in this game as well.
Do you want to hear the stats on Theo Maledon so far this season? Because I would like to tell you them. I think Theo, if my math is correct, trying to add this on the fly, is shooting 87.5% in the 3 games that he's played for the Charlotte Hornets. We love small sample size theater the last 2 days, so we might as well embrace it. He also hit both of his 3-point shot attempts in this one. That is not something that he's been very good. 4 assists for Theo, only 1 turnover, 1 steal, 15 points.
Celebrate and live my life.
One more time. What are you saying?
Baby, let's go. I just start getting quieter because if I wake my baby up.
to a Theo Weird Al bit. Yeah, like that.
Yeah,
one.
Producer Katie's gonna throw me Ayo out of the house.
Yeah, she's gonna kick your Ayo. All right, we're working it out. We were a team there. What's your next player? Who do you want to talk about?
Jalen McDaniels just hitting all the threes. I mean, he had the bad decision there at the end when he was trusted. When it's like Steve was like, "I trusted you.
I trusted you.
I trusted you." But he had an incredible game, just hitting 3-pointer after 3-pointer. What was the final? What was the final tally on Jalen? 6 of 10 from the field, 3 of 3 from 3, 17.6 rebounds, 2 assists, 1 steal, 1 block. I mean, the steals and blocks in this game, 9 steals, 5 blocks. I'm looking at the percentages for both teams. They were both shooting the lights out. I just had this pulled up on Cleaning the Glass. This is kind of incredible. So in this game, New York shot points per possession 130. Charlotte was 117. That's incredible for both teams. Effective field goal percentages were 66.7 and 63.1 for Charlotte. Those would represent some of the highest effective field goal percentages in the entire league and in games this season. This was an absolute slugfest. The Hornets actually defended the rim and shot at the rim really effectively in this game, incredibly. Like, New York should have been the more effective rim team. The Charlotte Hornets actually shot 71% at the rim. That's like the best game that they've had in the rim in quite a while. Unfortunately, that short mid game was what killed them. 76.9% from the short mid. New York just kept getting into the paint, hitting floaters, hitting hook shots. They can get all the way to the rim, but that short mid game, like if you look at the shot chart, see if I can bring it up here. It actually
good enunciation there, by the way. We've had mistakes with it in the past.
I know it's been a tough thing for me, but so let me see if I can pull this up. I can't play the bump now, unfortunately. I do have a bump about that. Let's see if I can bring this up. Screen share.
Well, do you want me to
it?
Okay,
here we
go.
I've got the chat up too, but you can see in this. Let me full screen this. Oh boy. All right, so New York Knicks shot chart here. I mean, look at all of this green here in the middle of the paint. I mean, this is probably where the Hornets lost this game. And then if you look at Charlotte, they got similar looks right down the lane, but a lot of X's, a lot of red X's. The Hornets really weren't effective in this short mid. They did get all the way to the rim and were effective there, but just all of this is where they lost this game, unfortunately.
So we should probably talk about one more player before we end it, and then I do want to pose
my
one
player.
question.
I don't know. I don't know if my player is your player. My player, the player of the game.
Well,
hold on. Let's do this. On 3, we'll both say the name. Okay?
Well, the one I want to talk about, I don't know if I'd give him player of the game. I'd probably go Dennis Smith Jr., but that's fine. I do want to talk about him. All right, you ready?
All right, here we go. Who's counting? Who's counting?
You do it.
Okay.
You do it.
Am I going 3, 2, 1 or 1, 2, 3?
Are you doing shoot as well? Just 1, 2, 3, and then we'll say it after that.
Okay, here we go. 1, 2, 3. PJ
James
Washington.
Okay, there we go. Very different.
Can I give my spiel on PJ? Because seriously, I'll make it quick.
This is Freaky Friday, man. You want to talk about Jalen and PJ, so go ahead. That's fine.
Well, because PJ, especially down the stretch of this game, he obviously hit the big shot that was a 3. You'll never convince me otherwise. Anglegate.
I won't try.
I listen to Basketball Illuminati. I've got my third eye open. I'm going to submit it to them. They've got to take a look at this Anglegate. But PJ, it's not even about the shot. It's about the number of defensive plays he made and getting to the line, by the way. In OT, he did miss 1 of 2 on his first trip to the line. But after a couple of misses by other players, he gets to the line twice, then strips it from, I believe it was Julius Randle. He gets to strip on Randle, and Randle finally gets one on him, but it was after PJ absolutely shut Randle down. Randle made the bucket, that helped seal the game.
ISO,
There's no doubt about that, but man, PJ made his life an absolute living hell in this game. PJ Washington, if they had won this game, again, shot be damned, I would have given PJ Washington the player of the game because he was absolutely incredible on the defensive end.
Look, I mean, PJ is going. Look, we're small sample size. We're going to get to a point at the midway part of the season, and we are going to be talking about PJ, getting some love for some all defensive teams. I don't care. I'm putting it out there. I think there's that possibility. There's a lot of great defenders, not thinking at the top of the dome right now. Maybe there's just too many there and ahead of them, but I think PJ and that type of ability, he's been phenomenal. Book night, though, the reason I wanted to talk about him just real quickly is because it was clearly his best game. He put together a pretty good stretch of basketball, the best one we've seen from him in a while. Actually hit a couple of threes in this one and was driving and finishing at the rim. So the final stats for James Bouknight: 17 minutes, 5 of 9 from the field, Shot 2 of 5 from 3-point range. Had a few assists, only 1 turnover. So he wasn't doing that thing where he dribbles in the lane and then turns it over automatically, right? Where it just drives us mad. Had some nice shots at the rim, made 3, I believe, of his 4 field goals in 2-point range. Yeah. So I like it, right? Like James Bouknight gave you something tonight, helped you be in the position you were to possibly win this game. Nice step forward for James Bouknight, who really desperately needed a good overall game.
Well, and he's had a couple now, right? He's starting to, that's what you like to see, that he's stringing together a couple of good performances and he's getting these little buckets of minutes. It's not totally spread out. He's getting these little bursts of minutes as the rotation is going to figure itself out as other players come back into the game. But I think he's made his argument, and he's made a decent argument that he should get more minutes in the future, even when some of these players rotate back into the rotation. It's going to be difficult, but I think he's made his argument. I hate to focus on the refs, but what about that play? Somebody asked about it in the chat, where Julius Randle absolutely just ran over Bouknight. James Plowright thought he had a concussion. Luckily, he came back in the game. Hopefully, he doesn't enter the concussion protocol. Hopefully, he's fine. But the amazing thing about that play, so Julius Randle, he's going for the loose ball. Bouknight is. Julius Randle, this was after Bouknight hit a great layup, so this was a follow-up play on another great play. That Bouknight gets absolutely destroyed by Julius Randle. No call. Bouknight hits the floor. They force a miss. Maybe it was Brunson that clobbered him. I don't know. Anyway, no call somehow. Knicks miss. He gets up, runs the floor, and then ends up throwing the alley-oop to Gordon Hayward. So, he hit him with the possum play. He played dead and ended up getting a great play. He was roadkill, and then all of a sudden he was killing the Knicks. So, it was pretty amazing to see him bounce back like that.
So that point you made, I want to ask that and tease that for the next episode and have that maybe be segment 1, because I'm interested, right? The question is, who is the guy left out of the rotation at full health? Because it's going to be tough with the guys playing right now. Cody Martin, he's going to be a part of it. Obviously, LaMelo and Terry are going to be getting a lot of minutes. So right now, like, I don't answer
crazy,
it. Right?
Man.
I want to set the scene.
I just want to sort of meditate on this idea that everything that we witnessed tonight, no Cody Martin, no LaMelo Ball, no Terry Rozier. What the bench and the starters, the people who are filling in, Kelly Oubre included, Gordon Hayward. We got to talk about these Gordon Hayward turnovers at some point. That's got to be a segment, because his turnovers are like way outside, and maybe it's because he's doing too much. I don't know. We'll talk about it in another segment. But Gordon Hayward, got to cut these turnovers down.
Go ahead.
But just like everybody filling in has been, even in a loss like this that is painful, is really incredible to watch. This was fun. It was maddening. It was enraging. But I think the Hornets are going to bounce back. They've got a game against Orlando to kind of, regroup before they face off against the Warriors to give it the old college try.
All right.
And you never know who they're going to get back. So that's going to be interesting too. Do you want to take a look at the chat before we head out?
Sure, we can do that.
People have been hanging out, man. This chat is exploding. Danny says PJ is clutch. Let's see.
Well, we didn't even talk about them just refusing to shoot a few times at the end of this game. I mean, they did that. I don't even know how many times where it was pump fake pass, pump fake pass, pump fake air ball. Like, stop.
Well, Oubre had that one play in OT where he goes ball fake, and finally got Mitchell to move a step and then got the bucket and cut the lead to 1. So there was that opportunity. Chief says Brunson hit some unbelievably difficult shots on very good DSJ defense. Yeah, man. I mean, it was, you got to give it up to that signing. His dad loved it. He was on the sidelines, whatever, you got to give it up for tampering, I guess. I don't know. I just can't with the Knicks. I didn't realize
it was this much disdain for you. Because
the Knicks always think they're back. The Knicks always think they've got a team. They never have a team. They're always breaking hearts. They were terrible last year, and they're going to do it again. Here they are again. They're now 3-1. They're going to trick everybody again. It's Halloween. It's trick or treat. It's always tricks. They're always TPing your yard by the end of the year. It's just ridiculous, man.
Watching your brain work when you're going to
I'm an artist. Just let me paint.
You really, it is like I can see it. Yeah, you repeated, then it's like trick or treat. Okay,
I get the hand. I'm gonna go when I get the hands going.
Yeah, I'm like, all right, I'm ready for it. I forgot. I honestly forgot what I was gonna say. I wanted to interrupt you, and then I forgot. That's fine. Go ahead. A couple more chats. What else we got?
Let's see. Matt says PJ can guard almost anyone he's asked to. He puts everything into the defensive end. Dude is. I lost it. The chat killed me. No, dude is the most irreplaceable player after a LaMelo. I mean, I'm starting to believe that. I really am.
There you go. Come aboard.
Trey says more Thor, but there might be less Thor, sadly. What?
I mean, he's not playing now.
He's not. I mean, there's just so much depth on this team. Like, I want to argue it. I really do. I'm at this point now where I'm just like, yeah, who are you going to ask to sit down at this point? I know people are yelling for Plumlee, but that's just not realistic.
It's turning more into the morning Thor movement is what you're doing. MOURNING, morning Thor. That's what I'm going. I'm spelling it out because I wanted the joke to land.
Yeah, morning Thor. Yeah.
There you go.
Gotta emphasize the more there. We'll work on it. We'll workshop it. Tyler says, I feel like if we can get a really good big for Gordon, it opens up a spot for Oubre McDaniels. Would have to be a Mitchell Robinson or Valanciunas type. That's really interesting. It's really early in the season, but yeah, when we get closer to the trade deadline, I wonder if this depth is sustainable, right? If it does open up some opportunities to actually trade a Terry or a Gordon and not do it in the scenario that we all thought it was going to be done in, which was tear down, rebuild, go after Wembanyama, but you actually move one of those veterans on big contracts to teams that desperately need that because you're confident that you can get some replacement value there and then upgrade maybe another position. That's super interesting. I think we got to continue to talk about that as the season moves on.
Right, as the season, not right now. Look, you're on Central Time. I'm on Eastern Time. It's 11:30. We appreciate you guys joining us in the live chat. It is time. We have a show. Doug, you and I have a WFNZ show to do tomorrow. Are you ready? You got one segment. Are you going to get rested well enough?
Are you ready? Are your listeners ready? What time is it? What time am I doing it?
Yeah, you're doing it at 11:20 Eastern Time.
There you go. Tune in 11:20. I'm going to go crazy on the radio. They're never going to let me on again.
No, that's probably not true. We've got the dumb button. That's the thing. We've got the dumb button, so we'll be ready to go.
Did you say the dumb button? What'd you call me? Did you call me dumb?
Dumb Branson. Follow him on Twitter at Dumb
I'm going to keep this show going. I'm just going to see how long I can keep this show going. People are still chatting. We got to give the people what they want.
Get out of here. Get out of here, chatters. Thanks for making Locked On Hornets your first listen today. Make your second listen game to game.
This is why they like me more than they like you, by the way.
I know. Every moment, every top performance, every result. Locked On game to game covers every game from across the NBA with local analysis that only Locked On can deliver. Follow game to game on Locked On NBA. Available on the Odyssey app, YouTube, and wherever you get your podcast. Doug goes solo for the next 3 hours off of this Fantasyland win that they experienced against the Knicks. I'm going to check out, and if you check out, we'll be back with you tomorrow.